together to help wildfire victims. The California Community Foundation reports that its wildfire recovery fund has already raised more than $20 million for fire victims. The fund will ensure resources reach the most vulnerable, including seniors, children, displaced workers, and underserved communities. Money will be largely used, the foundation says, for long-term recovery efforts as victims rebuild their homes and lives. For more, you can visit calfund.org. Financial aid is pouring into California right now, but with damage estimates at $130 billion, $150 billion, maybe $250 billion. We see all these numbers. Will there be enough money to help those in need? We know there's only one government agency that can print money, and that's the federal government. Representative Young Kim, Republican Congresswoman, joins us now with a look at that and more. Congresswoman, thanks so much for being with us.
Alex, thank you for having me, and I want to thank you so much for the coverage that you are doing. The horrible videos, the images we are seeing, and hearing those heartbreaking stories. I would like to extend my deep sympathies and empathy to all those who are hurting, and I'm praying for the victims of those fires and first responders, to be honest,
right.
Fighting every day, from all over Southern California who are stepping up to put these fires out. So thank you for the coverage.
Thank you very much. I know this past weekend, you and most of the members of the Republican California congressional delegation were at Mar-a-Lago. We've got a picture of all of you. The only one not in that picture is Congressman David Valadao, and you all had an opportunity to talk to the president-elect. Obviously, you weren't expecting to talk about fires, but that became a topic. What did you all say to him, and what did he say?
Well, absolutely. There is a lot of conversation about pointing fingers at this critical time. The message that we deliver and the message that the president-elect gave to our delegation in that meeting is that we need to bring federal aid to California and help the communities and the victims and the families who are dislocated, displaced. We need to bring aid to them as soon as possible. And obviously, they understand that I dealt with this personally in my district when the airport fire broke out in October of last year. So immediately I sent a bipartisan letter to our leadership to ensure that the disaster emergency funds were available, and we made that sign into law last December. And therefore, what we're doing right now is we're seeing where that aid is going, and if there is more needed, we need to ensure that the federal aid comes to California to help those communities that are hurting right now. And that message was sent clear, and that message was delivered to us from the president-elect himself. So we are very relieved and happy to hear that he's paying attention to this.
What did he say?
He said, you guys need help, and what can we do to bring the additional? And then, of course, there was a talk of President-elect talking about, the fair policies of California. But again, I think we all agree that, I'm not there. I wasn't there to defend or criticize anything about our governor or the local elected, at the city council level, the Mayor Bass, to be specific. We are talking about Californians who are already punished by the bad policies. Right now, what we talked about was California shouldn't be punished yet again, even more at the federal level. They need help. We need to bring the aids right now, hopefully without any condition, because, wildfires, natural disaster, they don't discriminate. They will destroy anything in their path. So when firefighters are running into the harm's way to save lives, they don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat they're saving. They need the tools they need and the resources they need to put these fires out as soon as possible. So if more aid is needed, we must deliver. And that message was sent very, very clearly and loud and clear.
So what you just said is different than what we heard yesterday from Speaker Mike Johnson, who suggested that he thinks there should be conditions on the aid. Senator John Barrasso saying that there should be conditions on the aid, and what you're saying as a Republican, you don't think so.
That represents California, represents Southern California, a member who represents a community with the canyon communities. I'm dealing with this. All right, so I don't necessarily think that the condition should be tied to changing policies immediately. That is later. Right now, we shouldn't play politics and give the aid, bring the aid to California, and let's have the communities rebuild and get through this very challenging times. So that's my opinion, and I'm not going to criticize about what others said. My position is that this should not be political, and we should not politicize it, but make sure that we bring the needs and make it a bipartisan.
Yeah,
Again, this is not a red or blue issue.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
There's some news there. Real quickly, because what we originally booked you to talk about was this state and local taxes, which is something that there's some questions about whether California would be exempted for some of that going forward. What did the president say when you talked to him about that?
The first thing that he said when he welcomed us into the meeting was, I did not realize how important salt is to states like California. And he is determined, committed to finding a fix this cycle, this time around, as we're dealing with the expiring tax provisions. So we walked away feeling very positive and optimistic that we're going to get this done. Salt is very important for California. Salt is very important for my constituents, especially in the communities where the median home prices are over $1.3 million. So we're not talking about the beachfront homes in Malibu. We're talking about middle class in my district. So my district is different than others throughout the other rest of the country, but we shouldn't be penalized for high-tax state like ours, and we need a fix.
Yeah,
and
it was a
he's
huge,
committed to doing it with us.
It's good to hear, because it turned out to be a huge tax increase for so many people in California when that happened. Congresswoman, thank you. We'll continue the conversation in Washington later this week when we're there for our inauguration coverage. We'll see you in person, but thanks for coming on Zoom tonight.
Forward to seeing you here.
Thanks, Congresswoman.